Hanuman is looking for Sita. He has been to several places in Sri Lanka. Ultimately, he reaches Ravana's apartments. Like any king of his times or of later times, Ravana had a large number of women in his harem. Hanuman reaches his private apartments. He notices a large and sophisticated lodge, 1 yojana in length and half this size in width. It rested on silver and gold pillars. Looking for the large-eyed Sita, he went around this building. Soon he arrived at the king's private apartments. The place was full of Ravana's Rakshas wives and conquered princesses. Ravana looked to be more prosperous than Kuber, Yama, or Varuna. In some rooms, the steps, windows, and ventilators were made of gold and marble, and the pavilions were of sapphire and emerald. The floors were studded with unusual coral, priceless gems, and rare pearls. Beside the jeweled steps, this place was decorated with ivory figures. It appeared to fly on the wings of high pillars. Its floor was covered by an expensive carpet with motifs of mountains and forests. Hanuman looked at a row of golden lamps burning simultaneously, as if lost in contemplation. Hundreds of charming women lay on expensive carpets, dressed in colorful clothes, each one uniquely dressed. They had garlands around their necks. It was post-midnight. They were fast asleep after revelry, liquor, and sex. Hanuman smelled the fragrance of lotus from the mouth of these sleeping beauties. Deep in sleep, their faces reflected the joy of the lotus that blooms when the night ends. Valmiki's images are to be noted for their precision and beauty. Looking at these women, Hanuman thought of the amorous beings who prayed and hungrily pined for a touch of such faces, like intoxicated bees reaching for the lotus in full bloom. He looked at the sleeping women lying like stars fallen from the sky and assembled at one place. They had imbibed liquor, danced, played on music, and sung songs. Their hair was dishevelled, their garlands crushed and scattered, their pretty ornaments loosened and displaced. The sindoor in the parting of some of these women had been smudged. The anklets of some had been thrown away, while some others were covered by pearls from broken strings. Necklaces shining as the sun and the moon lay high on their breasts and looked like hansas sleeping on the mounds in a pond. Sapphire and pendants raised on their breasts looked like kadamba ducks. Their necklaces of gold were like chakravak. The women lying asleep thus resembled rivers in which a variety of ducks floated. Their thighs resembled the embankments. The grooves made by the pressures of necklaces and pendants on their delicate limbs and nipples were so precise that the impression looked like real ornaments. The colorful clothes covering the faces of Ravana's wives, all charming in different ways, looked like glorious buntings. Even their earrings shook in rhythm with their breath. Always excited by the natural fragrance of his mistress's breathing, Ravana was all the more pleased by their breath, laced with the aroma of liquor made from molasses. Look at the postures described by Valmiki. Some of the intoxicated women slept with their bracelets covered arms as pillows. A few others had made a roll of their fragrant clothes for supporting their neck and head. One of them lay on the breasts of another, while another one supported herself on someone else's arm. In this manner, writes Valmiki, under the influence of their passion for Ravana and liquor, these women lay in deep sleep with their hips, thighs, waists, and backs intertwined and supporting each other. They had slender waists and lay in each other's arm, experiencing the delights of a lover's embrace. Here Valmiki has written of lesbianism 7,000 years ago. He continues, like the spring breeze sending a shiver through arbors of flowering creepers, the women appear to vibrate when their clothes undulated with their breath. What an imagery! With their bodies intermingled, these beauties looked like flowers in a garland stuck together, or like flowering creepers inextricably intertwined. The king's wives included daughters of Rajarshis, Brahmarshis, Asuras, Devatas, and the Gandharvas. A few had been conquered in battle, some others moved by lust had offered themselves to Ravana to be at his service. None of them had stayed against her wishes. Besides Sita, who was not there, Ravana had not abducted anyone by force. They loved his unique, divine, and unearthly qualities. While other women were totally dedicated to Ravana and loved none but him, Sita's absence in the harem was yet another proof of her unending love and dedication for Ram. A little later, Hanuman looked at a very charming woman asleep on the large bed where Ravan was sleeping. He thought that this could be Sita, but no. He soon realized that this was Mandodari, the queen of Lanka and Ravana's most favored wife. As Hanuman saw, Ravana was a handsome man, dressed in fabulous jewels and splendid clothes. He was beloved of the virgins and the source of joy to the Rakshasas. Red sandal paste on the limbs made him look like the sun at dusk. Wearing glowing earrings with large red eyes, long arms, golden robes, and resting after a night of debauchery and liquor, Ravan